Right, hey, we're going to do some game design today. So give me a second here to check in on my signal. We're currently going through the new Darksun Unearthed Arcana that Wizards released last week. We're converting it to the martial power system, and the spellcasters we're converting to the color mana system. Hey, that sounds good. So it sounds like our volume's coming through A-OK. I'm going to grab that link here real quick, and I'm going to do some fast social media posts. And while I go through that process, I'm going to hopefully entertain you with my origin stories. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them and I publish them online. And I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a Darksun enthusiast since 1994. I've been a freelance illustrator since '99. And I've been creating content on the DMsGuild for D&D 5e content since 2018. So the first thing that I had published is the martial power the color mana spell point variant rules that converts the Vancian spellcasting and spell slots of D&D into a color mana system that's from Magic the Gathering, the white, blue, black, red, green. And then you spend points with the colors to cast spells that are also devoted to those colors. Like if you want to throw a fireball, you spend 3 points of mana in your color pool. As long as you have at least one of those points is red, you can cast that as a red spell. So it's a pretty straightforward system. It doesn't have a lot of. It's got some cool synergy effects and character options that we're currently rebuilding for 2024. So you can keep an eye out for that. We'll probably start working on the page design for that probably in another month or two. But we've been hashing out the mechanics for it and using the UAs that have been coming out to test how well the system has been converted in 2024 by converting the subclasses. The martial power system further leans into the color mana system by creating a mana system for the fighter, barbarian, monk, rogue, and to have alternate preparation options for ranger, paladin, warlock, and artificer. So we're going to continue working on the gladiator today. This is my lunchtime, so I've got about a little less than an hour to play today. So if you think this stuff is cool, we stream on Tuesdays and Fridays doing color design, and then on Mondays and Thursday nights we do the Bastion campaign, and then Monday through Friday in the morning we do artwork for whatever book we'll publish next, which is An Adventure in Eberron. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. Here's a stack of books that I've already created on the DMsGuild. They all have free previews for you guys to check out. And here is the color mana system here on DMsGuild. If you click on that, you can see it's a bundle with a stack of different books that make use of color mana and teach you how to approach D&D from a different direction. And for today's playtest document, Martial Powers playtest document, if you click there, it's a huge document. It's read only. We're taking pieces of it and converting it into books that we then post on the DMsGuild. So all this stuff will be free preview on the DMsGuild when it's available there. And if you think any of this stuff is cool, consider making a purchase to encourage similar behavior in the future. So I'm going to take this, peel it out of the way here, push it down. We're using the, let's pull this here. We've got the Unearthed Arcana document that we've been working on to convert the subclass. We've got the martial power system itself here that we're going to, have access to the list of powers that we've created that is an alternate spellcasting system. We're going to scroll down to the fighter to look at the changes that we've made to how the fighter operates so we can properly convert the gladiator into the martial power fighter. There we go. Full conversion using the mana system. It's a short rest mana. You gain 1 point per level. You get it back on a short rest, kind of like a monk. But there's also a lot of neat ideas inside of this document that have been working really well in playtesting. One of them, for instance, it's a half casting system. So first rank of powers you get at first level, then second rank at 5th, 9th is 3rd, 13th is 4th, and then 15th, 17th level is 5th rank. And the amount of prep powers, the amount of powers that you can prepare is equal to the amount of spells that, like druids, clerics, wizards, sorcerers can prepare as well, but they're powers instead of spells. And the power die is like an inspiration die, martial arts die, superiority die, flash of inspiration die that you roll to either modify d20 tests or to increase the amount of damage that you deal when you hit things with weapons. Powers include not only disciplines that you can spend mana on to activate, but it also encompasses fighting styles, so you can pick up multiple fighting styles at first level. Weapon masteries, you can pick up multiple weapon masteries across the levels, as well as feats, origin feats at first level, and then general feats you can start acquiring at fifth level, and then epic boons you can acquire at 17th level. And that has also been working out incredibly well so far. So one of the neat innovations that we have in here, because you're able to sacrifice action economy to generate mana to do things with. So like you can sacrifice your reaction to gain a point of mana that you could then spend on something to boost a d20 test, or to, like, say, deal extra damage like a divine smite spell. You can sacrifice your bonus action, and depending on what your spell level, what character level you are, or rather the max rank of power that you've gained, you can first level, 9th level, 17th level. When you sacrifice your bonus action, you get 1 point, 2 point, and eventually 3 points of mana. When you make attacks during your turn with the attack action, each attack that you sacrifice also generates a point of mana. It's like a fighter at 11th level that has 3 attacks could make a single attack and then sacrifice 2 of those attacks to generate 2 points of mana that could be spent to ramp the damage on the strike that you had just dealt. You could also sacrifice your bonus action at 11th level to generate another 2 points of mana. And then you could also sacrifice your reaction for another point. So if you give up action economy, you can do a lot of things with powers. If you keep your action economy, then if you want to use powers, you're going to have to pull it from your mana pool, which is very limited. So it keeps you in tune with what you would expect a monk to be able to do. But if you want to start acting more like a full caster and just spam out abilities, then you're going to have to sacrifice your action economy to do it. In the end, you end up having the same amount of impact during a round of combat. It's just a matter of, are you ramping your damage and your d20 tests by sacrificing the action economy, or are you keeping your action economy and ramping things by sacrificing your mana pool and have to come back on a short rest to get those resources back. So it's a really fun balance system. We're currently running 8th level in a mega dungeon, both full casters and martial classes working together to see how these synergize. It's been a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this. An additional piece of tech, some new stuff that we had figured out in most recent playtesting was a stance. Hold on real quick. We've got the commanding, let's go down to our sustained powers, which are like concentration effects that you can sustain all day. At first rank, starting at first level, there's defensive stance and there's commanding stance. So it costs 1 mana to turn it on, and when you turn it on, it stays on until you're incapacitated, or you turn it off, or you take a long rest. So when you turn on commanding stance, and it's a bonus action or action to do so, and then once it's on, it just stays on. So when you use the influence action, you can add a power die to the result of your ability check. So like we were talking earlier, when you've got at first level a power die, which would be when you spend, in this case, when you use the influence action, which is persuasion, deception, intimidation, as well as animal handling, strange enough. These ability checks, while you have commanding stance active, when you make those types of ability checks to influence creatures, NPCs, or whatever. Hey, Steve, it's good to see you. You get to roll an extra d6 and add it to the result, kind of like a Bardic Inspiration die with more rules. But there's a kicker. So once you turn on commanding stance, hold on, let me roll back in. Once you turn on commanding stance, at any time you can expend an additional point of mana to trigger other abilities. So you can expend 1 point of mana to channel a command reaction power, and here's the stack of command reactions that exist inside the game. You can expend a point of mana to channel a command reaction power that you have prepared without using a reaction to do so. Reaction powers channeled this way expend mana as normal. So you can use this kicker more than once per turn, but only once per triggered circumstance. So let's take a look at these real quick because I think they're fun. I'm going to grab a screenshot here real quick for reference sake, just so you guys can see how this operates. Let's grab our kickers here. So let's go up into the reaction powers. And we're going to look for things that are labeled as command. Inspired attack. So the trigger is a willing, normally this would cost you 1 mana to use as a reaction. But if you have the commanding stance on, you can spend a point of mana to say use, here we're looking at inspired attack. It's a first rank power. It costs 1 mana to use it. If you're just spontaneously using it, it would cost you your reaction to do so. If you have commanding stance active, you don't have to use your reaction to make use of it. But in either, you have to A, spend a point of mana to not use a reaction, and then you would also spend the point of mana to actually trigger the power. So instead of costing 1 action and a reaction, instead of costing 1 mana and your reaction to use, say, inspired attack, if you have commanding stance active, it would cost you 2 mana, but no reaction to use it. So the way that it works is if a willing creature within 5 feet of yourself that you can see misses an attack roll, you can roll a number of power dice equal to the mana expended this way, adding the highest number roll to the result of the attack, potentially changing a miss into a hit. So at first level, anytime I see an ally that makes an attack roll and misses, I could spend a point of mana to gain a free reaction, to then spend an additional point of mana to roll a d6 and add that to their attack roll, potentially changing their attack into their miss into a hit. And if I spend an additional point of mana, they don't have to be next to me. They can be within 60 feet. So I could potentially spend, like, to really lean into this, you have to have a lot of mana, which means you're either going to give up a lot of action economy during your turn to generate all of this so that it doesn't cost so much, or you're going to chew through your mana pool quickly. And that's your choice. And you could technically use this ability as often as you want, as long as it's just once per, like when a willing creature other than yourself that misses an attack roll, you can only use this ability once during that attack roll. We also have Inspired Effort, which is similar, that when a creature fails an ability check. And then there's Inspired Ward, which is when a creature within 5 feet of yourself expends a saving throw. And again, if they're within 60 feet of you, you can choose to spend the extra point when you see it happen, and then you can spend the point to trigger it without a reaction, spend another point to expand your range, and then spend 1 or more points of mana to add, to roll additional dice to increase the result. If you were to, like, say, spend 3 mana to roll 3 6-sided, you can't spend 3 mana until you're 9th level, because first rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank, fifth rank is level 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, just like half casting. So by 9th level, or we were using the example of an 11th level fighter would have access to 3rd rank powers, you could spend 3 mana to roll 3 what would then become 8-sided dice at 9th level. It upgrades to a D8 at 9th level. So you'd roll 3 8-sided dice. Instead of adding all of those numbers to your ability check, you would roll 3 8-sided dice and keep the best result. So, like, after 1 or 2, like at 17th level, you can spend 5 mana. The chances of you needing to roll 5 dice to get a 5 or a better on your die roll, you probably don't need to throw 5 dice unless you really need to stick the landing and you're doubtful of your ability to succeed. You might want to roll as much dice as you can, expending as much mana in the process to get the highest result possible. But you could just spend 1 point, and if it's a +1, fine. But on average, like on a D8, on the average is gonna over time is gonna average it out to a +4, which is pretty good for a point. At 17th level, you get a D10. So over time, that'll average out to a 5. But at 17th level, I could spend 5 mana to roll 5 10-sided dice, and I would keep the best, add it to my +6 proficiency bonus, plus like a 4 to my ability score, plus whatever I roll on the D20, and then I'm going to roll a fistful of 10-sided dice, keep the best result, and add it like an inspiration die, right? So that's how the system works. And in addition to that, And there's a bunch of power, and again, this document is available for you guys to look at. It's linked down below. It's read only, but there's a lot of different command powers, and defense powers work pretty similarly. So if we look at the defensive stance, scroll down to that. The way the defense stance works, again, you spend a point of mana to turn it on, and once it's on, it stays on. At first level, you can only have one stance. At 5th level, you could have 2 stances active at the same time, or you could have a sustained power that requires 2 mana. At 9th level, when you hit 3rd rank, you could have up to 3 mana worth of sustained powers active at the same time. So like you could have like commanding stance and defensive stance in like, say, fast. While sustaining this power, your walking speed increases by your max power rank multiplied by 10. So like at 9th level, you'd spend the point of mana to become fast, and it would increase your speed by 30 feet. But you're also sacrificing a bunch of other stuff to do that. Like I can't, like at 1st level, I could sustain defensive stance or commanding stance. It's not until I get to higher levels that I can start stacking the effects. But defensive stance, it goes like this. So while sustaining the defensive stance, you have advantage on saving throws against being tripped, pushed, or grappled. And in this system that we use, forced movement triggers opportunity attacks. So you could push somebody out of your own reach, and on their way out, you can whack them with your weapon. So you can self-feed yourself opportunity attacks, or like if you use like repelling blast with your warlock on the team, could punt somebody like say 30 feet, like 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet if he hits with all 3 blasts at 11th level, and you could use that to line up a target and send them through basically a corridor that triggers opportunity attacks from your allies that might be adjacent to the space that the target flies through, so each of you can hit it on the way by. So they're having more opportunity attacks, like literally more opportunities to utilize your reactions. And of course, monsters can use this too. So one of the common complaints that people have in D20 combat, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition alike, is that once you get into position, you don't have any real reason to move. But using this martial power system, both players and NPCs have the ability to punt you out of your space, and depending on positioning and distance, they can force you to be triggering opportunity attacks from the attack from their allies to hit a target that's going by. There's a lot of really fun stuff that you can do with that, and it's been a blast using it in the playtesting. But this defensive stance prevents people from making opportunity attacks from you with forced movement, which makes it a really desirable stance to have. And then on top of that, when you expend a point of mana to channel a defense reaction, which are listed here, you don't have to use a reaction to trigger these abilities. But again, it's only 1 per circumstance, and you still have to spend the mana to activate them. And similar to the and then similar to the commanding stance. Words. Bait and switch, deflect. I'm gonna grab this real quick. Just once I get through this, we'll get on to actually building the Gladiator, because this is new tech that we came up with this weekend. We're going to start playtesting it on Saturday. We're really looking forward to it. Let's go down to our reactions. And bait and switch we converted from the Battlemaster maneuvers. So we took all the Battlemaster maneuvers and folded in here. Took all the Blood Hunter rites and rituals and curses. We took like all the rune knight abilities. Like we took a ton of reference of stuff of different things that can be done in 5e. We converted them to a rank 1 to 5 and a mana cost 1 to 5 to reflect how powerful that feature would be. So like bait and switch, it's a defensive feat. So when you or a willing creature within 5 feet of you is hit with an attack roll, you can spend 1 or more mana to switch places with the creature. Switching places away doesn't trigger opportunity attacks. And in addition, you or the target gains a bonus to armor class equal to your proficiency modifier. When you you can spend 1 mana. There. 1 mana to gain a bonus to your armor class equal to your proficiency modifier for that attack. So if I get attacked multiple times, like if I've got a creature that has multi-attack and attacks me 3 times, if I have defensive stance up, I could potentially spend 3 points of mana to react to each of those attacks because they're separate instances that I could respond to. Other things that are in here, like deflection. As a reaction to when you or an ally within reach of your melee attack are hit by an attack roll from a source that you can see, the attack is re-rolled, taking the new result, and this reroll can't score a critical hit. So like if a dragon is laying into you with three rending attacks, and I have defensive stance active, I could spend 3 mana to react to each of those claw attacks, and then I could spend a point of mana in reacting to it with deflection. I could then, make a hit by an attack roll. I force him to reroll. So if I wanted to spend, like if a dragon attacks me with all 3 attacks with the rend, I could spend 6 points of mana and force that dragon to re-roll each of those attacks. And if they do, they can't crit. That's expensive as hell. But again, like at the 11th level as a fighter, I could expend an attack and my bonus action to generate 3 points of mana. I could sacrifice, and then I could just spend points out of my mana pool, only 3 points at that point, to be on like full guard. So there's a lot of abilities in here, but what these abilities don't do is give people extra attacks or allow you to ramp damage. It's all these reactions are, for the most part, modifying or re-rolling D20 tests, which there's plenty of cases inside of the 5e24 game engine where you can modify die rolls without having to expend any kind of action economy to do so. So these defense stances are precedented already inside the 5e24 game engine. All we're doing is standardizing in the costs and levels at which you can use these different abilities. So it's a really fun new piece of tech that we've added in that is going to allow somebody, if they wanted to act as an actual commander in the battlefield, sacrificing their own action economy to be able to generate a bunch of free mana to then distribute that mana across their allies during their allies' turns, because you've got this pocket of mana that you've generated by sacrificing all of your actions. And now you can sacrifice that mana to generate additional reactions that you could use to modify the performance of the people on your team. So we've got one of our playtesters has built a bow ranger that, when not particularly picking on a target with Mark of Prey, can spend action economy to impact the rest of the team to make sure that they're able to accomplish their goals. I know that there's a really big commander fantasy in 5e, and there's also a really big MMORPG tank style of play, neither one of which anything in the published WotC content really hits the mark for. And while a lot of people have attempted to simulate those sort of abilities, the real crux of it is controlling movement, controlling targeting, and being able to deal damage to enemies or cause enemies to prevent damage altogether. And this power system has all of those options folded into the game system. So any kind of a character can become a MOBA tank, or can become an actual battlefield commander using their action economy to help other allies achieve their goals. So that's a lot of fun. So that's the new stuff that we have online. And that's all new since we streamed last on Friday. So having said all that, we can now actually get back into the Gladiator. I just wanted to share that tech because I think it's super cool. So let's see. Check. Let's get down into the actual Gladiator. We can actually get going with today's session, and I suspect we'll have time to. That's right. We converted the Echo Knight into the martial power system, which is super cool. Super cool. We can look at that another time if anyone's interested. But yeah, we've been going through converting the Gladiator into the 5e system, into the martial power system. So we figured out brutality, which is bleed, bluff, and stumble modify the masteries that you can use. one of the changes that we have in masteries in this system is anyone that has that has martial powers can channel mana, has a channeling class feature, is considered a martial. And anyone, when you're a martial, any weapon you're proficient with, you can automatically use the weapon mastery that weapon has. So if a heavy crossbow has the push mastery, if you're proficient using this system, marshals only, not the full casters, they get screwed on this. Everyone else gets it. Half casters and marshals, if they are proficient with a heavy crossbow, they can automatically use push when they hit with a heavy crossbow. But the way that this system works is, if you want to prepare a mastery, you can then use that mastery with other weapons that it's not a property. So if I wanted to use push with a dagger, I could prepare push as one of my prepared powers, and now I can use push with literally any weapon that I hit with. So hit like push, topple, cleave. Here, I'll show you the list. Let's get down into the meta powers or cantrips. Addle is when you hit somebody, they have to make an intelligence saving throw, or they can't make opportunity attacks. Basically like shocking grasp. Cleave is when you hit a creature, you can then hit another creature that's within 5 feet of it and within reach of your weapon. The second hit, the weapon, you take weapon damage, but you don't add your ability modifier to the hit unless it's negative, and you can only make that extra attack once per turn. Disarm is strength saving throw, or the object held is dropped in a square 5 feet. If they're two-handed, they get advantage on the saving throw. Grappling with melee weapons only is when you hit somebody with an attack, they have to make a strength or dexterity save, and if they fail, they're grappled. And while grappled, you can't use that weapon because it's being tied up in grappling the target. Graze you know already, Nick you know already, Push you know already, and we were talking about that. Like Nick you can only use while dual wielding light weapons or natural and unarmed attacks only. So like if a Minotaur is using I think short swords have Nick. So like if a Minotaur is using a Nick weapon, you would be able to use and if you've prepared Nick, your horns or like claws on a wildling, or any natural weapons that your character has, or like with the lycanthropy power, if you turn yourself into a werewolf, now you've got claw and bite attacks. These all become light weapons that you would then be able to use Nick with. So as a Minotaur, I could hit you with a if I hit you with a hammer, that's all I could do because that's not a light weapon. But if I hit you, like if I had two short swords, I could stab you with a short sword, and then I could hit you with my headbutt, with my horns, because that's also considered a light weapon. And it wouldn't take a bonus action, and then I'd still have my bonus action available for me to do whatever it is that I wanted to. So like stab, and then horns, for instance. Fun use. Sap, slow, topple, vex, those all exist already in the game. Step is that when you hit a target, you can then move 5 feet without provoking an opportunity attack. That's your mastery. So these masteries can be prepared and used with any weapon that would feasibly qualify to use them. Like you can't grapple with a sling stone because you threw the sling stone at them and you don't control it anymore. But like you could, like if you threw a bola, like a bola could have the grappling property attached to it. So when you hit them with a ranged attack, they could potentially get grappled as the mastery associated with a bola that you throw, for instance. Or like a net. A net can have the grappling mastery. So there you go. So I'm bringing that up because the brutality feature is you can use the sap mastery property in addition to another mastery. So you can use this and another mastery that you know, or whether it's on a weapon or that you prepared. Or you can use a strike power. Strike power is like paladin smite spells. A mastery is like a cantrip, while strikes are like a spell. You can't cast both a cantrip and a spell at the same time unless a feature says that you can. And in this instance, when you hit with a weapon, you could either use a strike power that costs mana, or you could use a weapon mastery, which is like a cantrip modifier for your weapon attack. But this feature specifically allows you to use the sap mastery and either another mastery that you know or a strike power that you spend mana on. And then there's a kicker effect. So when you use Sap Mastery, whether you stack it with other things or not, but whenever you use the Sap Mastery at all, if you expend a point of mana, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your Charisma modifier, at least 1 point of damage. And the extra damage type is the same type that the weapon deals. Bluff works off of Vex. Vex can stack with another Mastery or Strike power. And if you spend a point of mana while vexed, you have advantage on your next saving throw. These are things that are already existing inside the Gladiator, but we're modifying how you can use them based on the mana system that we've developed. Like here's Bluff. You can activate the Vex Mastery weapon property in addition to a different Mastery property that you're using with that weapon, and you have advantage on the next saving throw you make before the end of your turn. But you can only do this a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier, minimum of once. So instead of limiting how many times you can use Brutality based on your Charisma, we instead made it a kicker cost that costs mana. And you can sacrifice action economy to generate mana. So you can do Brutalities every round of combat if you're willing to give up a piece of your action economy to generate the free mana to then spend on the kicker effect. So we got through Brutality and Combat Theatrics, Charismatic Power. You can use Charisma as your channeling ability score instead of Strength, Dexterity, or Intelligence. Normally, a fighter can choose Strength, Dex, or Intelligence as your channeling class of your channeling ability modifier. Like a wizard uses Intelligence, you have the option of Strength, Dex, or Intelligence. Intelligence because of the Battle Master and the Eldritch Knight and the Psy Warrior all lean into Intelligence, but the Gladiator uses Charisma, so we allow you to use Charisma instead of Strength, Dex, or Int when you're channeling powers to increase their DC and other things like that. So Athletic Flair, when you use a Dex or Strength check, you can add your Charisma bonus. Charismatic Power, you can use your Charisma as your channeling ability, and then bonus proficiencies. Gain proficiency in one of these skills of your choice: Acrobatics, Athletics, Deception, Intimidate, or Performance, which is straight from the book here. So then we went through Flourish Parry. And Flourish Parry, all of this we then boiled down into when a creature hits you with a melee weapon attack, you can take a reaction to add your Charisma modifier to your AC against the attack, potentially causing it to miss. We don't make that. We did not make that a defensive stance option because the kicker effect here, Flourish Counter, it doesn't cost any mana, but if this reaction causes the attack to miss, as part of that same reaction, you can make an opportunity attack against the attacking creature using one of your Brutality effects. When doing so, you can use the kicker for the chosen Brutality without expending any mana. So when I hit with, and that's basically how it works here. So if I use a reaction to increase my armor class and they miss, I then get an opportunity attack. If the opportunity attack hits, I can now use one of my Brutalities. There you go. So that finishes up 7. Now we're moving on to Bolder Brutalities. So let's see how Bolder Brutality works. I'm just gonna copy and paste this into a notepad. If this stuff sounds complicated, I would say it's complex in that it has additional options and there's a lot of fiddly levers that you can pull on it. But if you're not interested in that, you can just learn feats. There's like 30 feats that you can pick up. You don't gain any stat bonuses when you prepare a feat, but at first level you can pick up some of these. Or notice that Skilled is not a feat that you can prepare because it's too efficient, it's too good. But like Alert's good, Healer's good. You can ignore Power Initiate if you want to. Savage Attacker, all these things exist in the player's handbook. You could learn these instead of fighting styles, or weapon masteries, or things that spend mana, right? So fighting styles, you can learn all these at first level. They're just the fighting styles from the player's handbook. You're used to them already. And then general feats start at 4th level. So when you get access to channeling second rank powers, like for a fighter that would be 5th level, I can now prepare these powers. I don't gain the ability bonus that goes along with these feats, but it also doesn't have any prerequisites. So I can now prepare, like at 5th level, I could prepare, say, Great Weapon Master, and I can prepare Polearm Master, and I could prepare Sentinel, and I could prepare Cleave, I could prepare Topple, and I could prepare Push. So 3 masteries, 3 feats, and if I'm talking like we're level 5 when we can first start doing this, so a 5th level fighter has a total of 8 powers that can be known. So I could fill up my 5th level fighter with probably all the feats that I would need until at least 12th or 13th level, as well as gain a bunch of weapon masteries. And I'd still have 2 left over for fighting styles, like heavy weapon master, or like I could pick up slasher as a feat. That's my 7th. And then what would be a good fighting style to pick up? 2-weapon fighting. There you go. So that would be like all 8 of my feats. None of those require mana. It just lets me stack up on feats and fighting styles and weapon masteries so that my fighter would literally never have to think about mana unless I really wanted to. So I could keep my character simple and ignore all these bells and whistles. But if you want to get complicated and build unique action loops, so like I'm going to like sacrifice my attacks so I can ramp the amount of reactions that I use, or like I'm going to chain an attack and then sacrifice some attacks and my bonus action to ramp a divine strike that I'm going to use with my paladin. You can decide what action loops are best for your character and how you want to use your action economy to help your team. And you can change whenever you finish a long rest, you can swap 1 prepared power, and when you gain a level, you can swap all of them. So you have flexibility between, like if you have downtime adventures, if you like only have like 1 adventure a week, you would have a number of days that you could start customizing your list of prepared powers to meet like whatever your next challenge is that you plan on going after, blah blah blah. So there you go. So it's very adaptable and lets you customize your character to whatever the adventure is. So let's get back into it. Bolder brutalities. Your brutal martial prowess has improved. The following effects are added to your brutality options. So we're going to add some more options. We're going to have Rive. We're going to have Rush. And we're going to have Stagger. So let's see how these work. You can activate the Cleave Mastery property in addition to a different mastery property you're using. And you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the additional attack made as part of that property's activation. Cool. That's probably going to be like a +4 or +5. That's basically the average result of a D8 or a D10. Maybe it's only a 16 at first level. That's worth a D6. A +3 is a D6. A +4 is a D8. A +5 is a D10. A +6 is a D12. So proficiency dice is a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, right? So that's how you scale proficiency dice using the variant rules in the DMG 2014. And so we've just basically lifted that kind of with the inspiration dice. So when you're looking at if your stat, like if you can add a stat that can be worth a point of mana, because 1 point of mana is worth a power die roll, whether you're adding it to your damage or increasing an ability like a D20 test. Generally, a power die is worth 1 point of mana. So if we can add our charisma modifier to the damage that we deal with a cleave attack, you can add your ability modifier. And you can add your ability modifier to the damage for the additional attack made as part of that property's activation. So at 10th level, you'll probably have an 18 or a 20 in your strength stat. So that means you're going to have either a +4 or +5, which is worth a D10 or a D12 on the average. That means that would be worth 1 point. So we can use the same kicker structure here. So I'm just going to grab this. And I'm going to drop it down here into Rive. That's where we're at. Rives, this is going to be worded as you activate the Cleave Mastery in addition to another mastery. Into another mastery. Or a strike, comma, or a strike power you have prepared, period. And then kicker. When you activate the Cleave Mastery, you can expend 1 point of mana to have advantage on the next saving throw. Sorry, I got lost in the sauce there. You can expend 1 point of mana to add your ability modifier to the damage of the additional attack made as part of that property's activation. Made with Cleave. There we go. So there you go. It costs a point of mana, a little pricey, but it's probably going to be an extra +5, which is worth a D10, which is worth 1 mana. So that's how Rive works. Now we can look at the rest of the abilities and similarly modify them. Rush, you can activate the Push Mastery. I should probably put can. You can activate the Push Mastery in addition to another mastery or strike power you have prepared. When you, that's the wording that I wanted. When you activate the Cleave Mastery, there we go. And when you so this up here should be when you activate the Sat Mastery, which you can only do when you hit with a weapon attack, obviously. And when you, and again, when you. Wait. You now have the Topple Mastery property in addition to an additional mastery. You now have the Topple, you now have the Topple Mastery prepared without counting against your total powers prepared. And when you activate this, and when you activate Topple, you and wait, I need to change the wording on that. That counting towards the powers prepared, comma, and when you activate, and when you activate Topple, you can also activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power or channel a strike power you have prepared. Yeah, it's a little wordier because you get 2 for free. Rather, we get bonus powers, right? So like at 9th level, obviously we're picking up Cleave, which is a mastery. And we're also picking up Push, and then we'll pay for slow. Push mastery. Because each subclass gets 10 bonus powers, just like spellcasters get bonus spells. And since masteries are powers that you can prepare, they can also be bonus powers. The stickler here, it would be great to give you all 3 of them, but you only get 2 per 3rd, 5th, 9th, 13th, 17th, 1st rank, 2nd rank, 3rd rank, 4th rank, 5th rank access. But you get 3 kicker effects for masteries. So you get 3 masteries that are modified, but we only get 2 free ones. So I'm giving you Sap and Vex as you're listed, and then here, when it says Stumble, you now have the Topple mastery prepared without counting against your total powers prepared, and you can activate Topple, and when you activate Topple, you can also activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power you have prepared. In addition, when you use the Topple mastery, you can choose another mastery or strike power you have prepared. That is redundant, so I can get rid of that. I like that language, though. That's good. Bleed is good. Bluff is good. Stumble is good. Rive, when you activate the Cleave mastery. Let's see. When you activate the Sap mastery, you can... When you activate the Sap mastery property, you can activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power you have prepared. That's actually really good language. When you activate the Vex mastery property, you can activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power you have prepared. Kicker, when you activate the Vex mastery, you can expend 1 point of mana to have advantage on the saving throw. A kicker effect modifies what you're already doing. So you can either add the point of mana or not. That's up to you. But the bluff always lets you stack it with another mastery or channel a power. And when you're channeling a power, a kicker is separate from channeling the power. So they don't get in the way of each other. So you could spend mana at the same time on those 2 separate abilities. You now have the Topple mastery prepared without counting against your total powers prepared. And when you activate Topple, you can also activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power you have prepared. Good. And when you activate blah. When you activate the Cleave mastery, property, you can activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power you have prepared. When you activate the Cleave mastery, you can expend 1 point of mana to add the ability modifier to the damage of the additional attack made with Cleave. Good. Rush. When you activate the Push mastery property, comma, you can activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power you have prepared, period. Kicker. Kicker, when you activate Cleave, when you activate the Push mastery, you can expend 1 point of mana to immediately move up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. See, super sweet. And then stagger is going to have the added language, since stagger is something you get for free. Let's go up here to how stumble reads and just grab all of that. We'll go down to stagger. So it goes, you now have the slow mastery prepared without counting against your total powers prepared. And when you activate slow, you can also activate an additional mastery or channel a strike power you have prepared. Period. Kicker. When you activate the slow mastery property, you can expend 1 point of mana to let's see, you can expend 1 point of mana to force the target to roll the next saving throw, the next saving throw with disadvantage before the end of your next turn. I should word that differently. You spend 1 point of mana to curse the target to roll the next saving throw before the end of your next turn with disadvantage. To roll the next saving throw with disadvantage. Yeah, that's the right language. To roll with disadvantage, and to roll the next saving throw with disadvantage before the end of your next turn. Period. Cool. Okay, got that all panned out. So I like that. So far, we've stacked this character up with 4 free masteries off of the bonus power list, and they get an additional 2 masteries off of brutality and bolder brutalities. And then let's look at what the level 15 feature is. Brutal resistances. Okay, so we don't need to regain uses of brutality because it's not triggered off of your charisma. It's just a mana spend. So what does that mean for us? What are we going to do about that? Whenever you use your second wind to regain hit points, you regain an expended use of brutality. You also regain an expended use of brutality whenever you use action surge. Brutal. I think I used the wrong word. What is it actually supposed to be? Resurgence. Thank you. Actually, no. We're going to go brutal surge. We're going to change this. When you use your action surge, you don't. When you use your action surge to make attacks, you don't have to. You can use the kicker for brutalities without expending mana. There you go. Since we don't have to, since we can regain, we can already regain mana with second wind using the feature, Tactical Recovery. When you activate Second Wind, rather than regaining hit points, you can regain a number of mana equal to the max rank of power gained as a fighter. And at 15th level, that would be 4 points that you recover whenever you use Second Wind. And at 13th level, you've got 4 uses of Second Wind. So you've got a ridiculous amount of mana that you can recover. Let's look at Second Wind. You regain, let's see, you can use this feature twice. You regain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So at 13th level, you've got 4 of them, and if you burn all of your Second Winds on regaining mana, that's 16 mana that you're going to regain, on top of getting all of your mana back on a short rest, and that gives you an additional use of Second Wind back. Your fighter, the fighter, more so than any other martial character, is capable of spamming out mana at the rate using Second Wind this way. If you choose to use Second Wind this way, you can generate as much mana for yourself, for your mana pool, as a wizard or a sorcerer or a cleric or druid or bard has in their mana pool as well. You are drastically increasing the amount of mana that your fighter has in their mana pool, so you don't have to sacrifice action economy to spam your abilities. So the fighter is capable, because like a paladin and a ranger and a barbarian and a rogue, a monk, they can sacrifice action economy just like the fighter can to generate free mana to utilize during their action or as a reaction. But the fighter can spam out, can generate so much mana for themselves in small pockets that they don't have to sacrifice attacks very often or sacrifice their bonus action. But they could also sacrifice their action surge to generate additional mana. So you can just burn your action surge to, like, at 13th level, create an extra 3 points of mana and still have all of your attacks. You could burn 2 of those attacks. So you could make 1 attack with an action surge and get 5 free points of mana off of it, in addition to burning your bonus action to now get 7 points of mana that you could then sit back and wait for your other team to go and use commanding stance and use defensive stance to spam out a whole bunch of little reaction abilities that don't cost reactions because you're spending mana on them. So you just the amount of mana that a fighter can produce and recover is ridiculous. It is comparable to a full caster without giving them a full caster mana progression because of the way that they can regenerate it. I really love that. I think that's a lot of fun. It's a different way of approaching the full caster mana supply without just giving them a ton of mana to blow. Sticking with that, I can do this all day meme. Like, full casters are Nova Burst. They can throw big amounts of mana to do big spell effects. Martial characters have a lower amount of mana that they can spend at a time, but they can spam it by burning action economy or just slowly chewing down their mana pool. The fighter can do both. So chew down their mana pool and burn action economy to generate shitloads of mana. It's super fun. Super fun. So Brutal Surge is super simple. Let's go in and take a look at what the 18th level feature is, which is Mutilate. Ooh, neat. Loving this language. When you hit, bloodied target options, super cool. Give me a second here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to copy pasty. Mutilate. Even if I wasn't using martial powers, this gladiator is pretty cool. I got to tip my hat to the 5e team. They've made a really cool subclass. This has got neat stuff to it. Given the constraints that they have in their design philosophies, I think they created a good thing. I of course will humbly say I think martial powers, although certainly more complicated or more complex and has more options available to it, all those added mechanics allow you to do and lean into a lot different types of narratives with the characters. But I like where 5e24 is leading us. I think it's a lot of fun. So Mutilate. when you hit a bloodied, and again, bloodied is when they're at half hit points or less. I've started in our playtest. I've started reporting on the VTT. I always provide the number of hit points that the creature has, so they can tell when it's bloodied, so they know that themselves. We have a bunch of markers that we use for the different types of condition effects, like topple and addle and all that other stuff. We have clear markers for that. It's actually, once you understand it, it's actually very efficient. And once the players understand how the characters work, we aren't seeing a lot of lag time, but there's so much cool stuff that you can do in combat. It's not sloggy, lazy at all. Oh yeah, and one other thing I want to mention is by allowing characters to prepare masteries, anyone that really thinks that making an attack roll and missing is bullshit, like if you hate that, then just pick up Graze. You can just learn Graze. You can just prepare Graze and use it literally with every weapon, whether they're melee or ranged, whatever. If you miss an attack, you can deal your attack ability modifier and weapon damage. So like you can, like that fighter is going to be able to do 5 points of damage minimum. So if you know when you're looking at your energy bar of how many hit points a creature has left, if you know it's 5 or less, you don't even have to roll. It's like I kill it with Graze. And you're done. It's like it's so easy. It's so like all the problems that people have with 5e is because Wizards didn't provide an easy bake answer to resolve what that problem is. But I don't think I've ran across anything that people have a complaint about 5e that can't be modified to arguably make a better game out of it. It's just you have to be willing to kit bash and modify your game, which some would argue is better / easier than learning an entire new game system because you don't like that you miss attacks. Well, then stop missing attacks and just use Graze. Just bolt the system onto your game, and even if you don't use anything else, just let them, when you prepare a combat mastery, you can choose masteries to switch weapons with, and you can just automatically use the weapons with all the weapons that exist in the game that your character is proficient with. Unless you're a full caster, in which case you can't. Fuck you. So I just want to throw that little PSA out there real quick because it's just common sense. I think if they had allowed 5e24 to cook longer and have more playtesting, I'm convinced they would have come to the same sort of conclusion that you should be able to prepare them and modify any weapon that you have prepared. It gives you the level of flexibility and combat tactics options that makes marshals feel more like casters because you have this growing list of shit that you can do at any time, just like casters can. It's just, it's good. It's just good. So when you hit a bloodied creature with an attack roll, you can attempt to critically injure it. The target must make a Constitution saving throw, DC 8 plus your channeling modifier. Makes a Constitution saving throw against your channeling DC. Period. On a failed save, the target suffers the following effects: maimed, sluggish. Oh, you get them both. If the target takes the attack action, it makes only one attack. The target's speed is halved, and it has a -2 penalty to its armor class. These effects last until the target regains hit points. Once the target fails its saving throw against this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. Once a target fails its saving throw, and then it goes like that. Once a target fails its saving throw against this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest or expend 3 mana, no action required. So you can recharge this by spending mana. Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. So that's all the features. So now we have some bonus powers that we want to give the character. We already have Sap, Vex, Cleave and Push figured out. I think for 5th level, let's go into our list of powers and see cool stuff. Here's our list. So let's see. We could go. Anything here jumping out at us as particularly gladiator-ish stuff to do? Defensive duelist, durable, grappler, inspiring leader, mounted, piercing, poisoner, polearm, sentinel, sharpshooter, skulker, slasher, speedy. No, I don't think any of these are like quintessential to the gladiator. Like you could pick any of these up to modify what kind of a gladiator you are, but actually athlete speaks a lot to me. Let's remember D&D Beyond. Remind me of what athlete does. Again, when you prepare it, you don't gain the strength bonus or the strength of dex. It just stays. You get everything after this. So this is the only stuff that modifies. Climbing speed is equal to your moving speed. Hop up. You can 5 feet of movement to get to change prone. And running high jump for only 5 feet. That doesn't scream to me gladiator. So we're gonna skip that. Let's go up here and let's see what are some other. Is there any second rank power that feels particularly like specifically gladiatory? Deadly Presence. While this power is sustained, again, this costs 2 mana, so at 5th level it would be the only power you could sustain. And by 17th level, you can sustain up to 5 mana. So 2 mana, Deadly Presence at 5th level. It's the only thing you could do. At 9th level, you could do this plus something else. While the power is sustained and you are not restrained, stunned, or paralyzed, any creature that you can see that begins its turn or moves within reach of your melee attack takes 1 power die of weapon damage. When you sustain this power with 4 mana instead of 2, the damage increases to 2 power dice. So at 9th level, it'd be 2d8. At 5th level, it's 2d6. At 17th level, with 4 mana, it'd be 2d10. Consider adding difficult terrain. That's something we're considering, but I'm not there yet. Deadly Presence for sure. That's a good one. Deadly Presence is a good one for Gladiator. For sure. Sus 2. And what other cool thing can we do as a second rank power? Let's go to, I think a maneuver feels right here. Maneuvers can be used as an action or as a bonus action. Magic action or a bonus action. Thank you. Second rank or less. Looking for particularly gladiator sort of stuff. Goad as they attack you. Distract target creature you can see and can see you. Cannot take opportunity attacks until it can no longer see you or it succeeds an intelligence saving throw at the end of its turns. Creatures immune to charm roll with advantage. Distract is actually a really good one. That's maneuver 2. We already have cleave and push locked in, like to distract somebody. If they fail the intelligence saving throw against your channeling DC, they can't make opportunity attacks. That's like Addle on steroids. So if I can hit you with distract, and then I can play around inside your movement space as much as I want. That feels like a very gladiator sort of thing to do. Let's go look at exploits. And I'm liking the look of assassinating damage. It costs 4 mana to use it, and it's an exploit, so it doesn't require its own action economy. It modifies something else that you're doing. So when you deal damage with a weapon attack to a target that has yet to act in combat or is unaware of your attack, you can re-roll any number of damage dice, keeping the higher result. This includes any additional damage dice, such as those gained from a critical hit, sneak attack, or channeling a strike power. You know what? It's the advantage. It's the first in combat and unaware of your attack. That doesn't actually feel like a yeah, that doesn't feel like a gladiator at all. But hypertunistic, when you make an opportunity attack, you can make a second attack against the same creature. That costs 3 mana to use, but God, that's cool. Hypertunistic. That feels very much like a gladiator sort of thing to be able to do. Let's go with precise attack. When you make an attack against a creature with less than full cover, you can ignore the benefits of the cover and roll a number of power dice equal to the amount of mana spent this way, adding the highest roll to your attack result. That's not bad. Oh, Slippery. We should definitely pick up Slippery. That's a really good one. Slippery, it's only first rank, but when you take the disengage action, you can end the prone condition or make a strength and dexterity check to end the grappled or restrained condition, rolling with advantage. So when I take the disengage action, it gives me a free grapple escape or restrained condition escape. That I like a lot. So I think I'm going to pick that up. When you take the disengage action, you can end the prone condition or make a dexterity. Yeah, I like that. We're going to go with it. Exploit 1. We do not have to hold to first rank powers at 3rd, second rank powers at 5th, third rank powers at 9th, etc. We don't care about that. We're looking for space that's available, and when is the earliest that it makes sense to have, or what's the earliest it's available for us to use. You know what? And having said that, I think that Deadly Presence should come before, should come after Slippery. I think Deadly Presence and Hypertunistic make sense together. So I'm going to do that. Go with Distract and Slippery. And then 17th level, we can do whatever we want. So let's see. 4th rank shit or less. Unstoppable. When an effect or condition other than incapacitated, unconscious, or death reduces your movement, you can channel this power to retain your movement until the end of your next turn, even if you cannot take other actions. Nah, that doesn't feel like a gladiator specifically. It's cool. It's great for the battle rager barbarian for sure. Nah, but not for a gladiator. What else you got, buddy? Lethargy, regeneration. Curse of Enfeeblement. You curse a creature that you can see to deal half damage with weapon attacks until the target succeeds a strength saving throw at the end of each of its turns. Curse of Enfeeblement is awesome. Let's go with that. That is a maneuver 3. And let's see. Anything else? Reactions. What's a high rank reaction we could use? If you or an ally within range of you that you can see fails a D20 test, re-roll it. And any number of powers, and any number of power dice, keep the new result. That is a reaction. It's a 2nd rank reaction. It's not horrible. Curse of Exposure as a reaction to when you see a creature within range taking damage. If it has resistance to that damage type, it loses this property. Alternatively, if the creature is immune to this damage type, it instead takes half damage. This effect ends immediately after the creature takes damage. Takes the affected Curse of Exposure. I like that one too. And that is reaction 3. There we go. Hey, and that's our gladiator. We just built a gladiator. This guy is done. So, and I'm out of time. It's been, my hour lunch is over. That's great timing. So I do design work like this on Tuesdays and Friday at lunchtime, roughly at this time every day. On Friday, we'll be back. We're going to start in on the Druid Circle of Preservation. We can scroll down here. We have the full build for the Druid. Way down here, like around page, I want to say 105 or so. No. Bard. All the subclasses for 2024 have been converted to the mana system. And all the subclasses that have been forsaken in 2024 that have not been graduated from 14 to 24 are also in here, translated into the color mana system. This entire document, again, this entire document is in the description down below. It's going to be read only for you, and it's still very playtest framework right now. But we have the full build for the Druid here, and all the subclasses already built out. So when we come back, we will build. We'll get into the Circle of Preservation for the Druid. So this will what we'll do on Friday, and if we can finish it, then we'll do the Defiler Sorcerer on Tuesday next week, and if we're successful in finishing that, then we'll do the Templar Warlock on Friday next week, and on Mondays and Thursday nights we're doing the Bastion campaign. We're currently working on armies, sieges, and sabotage using the Bastion as our framework. That's on Mondays and Thursday nights. And then I do artwork for the books that I publish on Monday through Friday in the morning with our morning coffee. That is, we're currently doing artwork for an Eberron adventure called Crystals of Mabar that we'll be publishing on the DMsGuild once it's done. So hey, thanks a lot everyone who's been checking this stuff out. If you think it's cool, check out my backlog of all the stuff that we've been building, as well as like my Spelljammer videos. And like and subscribe, because I'll be back tomorrow morning doing artwork, and I'll be back at Thursday night to work on Warfare, Siege, and Sabotage for Bastions. Friday we'll be working on the Druid Circle of Preservation. Yeah, and if you're interested in this stuff, you want to ask questions, my Discord link is down below, free access for those. Consider buying some books if you're a 5e enthusiast. It's very appreciated to encourage similar behavior. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot for being here. Bye.